Good evening and welcome to the November 10th, 2015 School Committee meeting. This meeting is being recorded by Easthampton Media. The School Committee would like to recognize and thank Tim Riley for taping tonight's production. Easthampton Media, channels 191, 192, and 193 is looking for volunteers. If anyone is interested in helping to tape city government meetings, please contact Kathy Lynch at 413-203-1360. Superintendent Follinsby, do you have some announcements for us?
I do. The next school committee meeting is December 8th, 2015. Meetings will begin at 6:30 p.m. There is no school on Wednesday, November 11th, due to Veterans Day. There is no school on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, November 25th, 26th, and 27th, due to Thanksgiving break. There's a half day of school on Friday, December 11th, due to teacher professional development. And there is no school Thursday, December 24th through the end of December due to Christmas, New Year's, and winter break. Students will return to school on Monday, January 4th, 2016. And there are a number of events that are going on in the district, but I didn't include them in my announcements tonight. You can find them, however, on our website under the Superintendent Update, or in an email that I sent you on Monday, or on the EPSD Facebook page. And I think Alexis might have a few of them for us later, too.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to note that I'm going to ask the committee to consider the possibility, and I think perhaps, I don't know whether we're allowed to make the decision in the work session, of moving our next meeting date from the 8th to the 15th. I know that we're not all here right now. I know we have two folks who are due to arrive shortly, but I was going to ask if we could move the meeting in December to the 15th. I apologize, but I have a work-related conflict that means that I'll be in a different part of the state. So I know that since we just read December 8th, I just wanted to be sure that the possibility that it might be the 15th was noted. We'll leave it as the 8th for now.
Okay. Maybe
Okay.
we can handle that through
I
communication.
think we can decide that in the work session, can't we? To change the date of the meeting? I believe so.
Discuss that?
Yeah. Thanks.
All right,
Thank
we'll
you.
make a note of that. Thank you very much. Okay, Peter Gunn is filling in for our secretary this evening, who is delayed. So, Peter, do we have correspondence?
We do. We have a wonderful note from students who came and visited as part of the program. That it's more than just an exchange, but there's a copy in the record that people can see online. It says, "We had a wonderful time at Easthampton. Thank you so much for allowing us to come here." And these are students, including, we had one who came to our last school committee meeting, correct? Right? And so there are a number of names here. And they said, "Thank you a lot for your support." And in addition to that, there's correspondence from the St. Patrick's Committee of Holyoke. So you need to get your parade shoes on, folks, and let them know. Do we let you know? We let Sue know as soon as possible about your intentions to join, and that you'd want to know by the December meeting, correct?
Peter, it's just for school committee members, and at that point, you would, and the new members coming on in January will be notified also.
Okay.
So if the two of you could just let me know if you'd be interested in marching.
Great. So it's an announcement for us too,
Okay.
because other folks have made other decisions about their future.
Okay.
Sorry. And I think that's it for correspondence.
And Peter, could Alexis tell us about her experience with being a host? Seems how you were on that subject. So how did that go, having a French student?
It was really, interesting. I don't know how to put it exactly. It was really nice just, learning about how, they don't have, peanut butter just readily available. That was something that I found really funny, that, she ended up, loving peanut butter and, grabbing some, to take home to her family, and it was nice to learn about, a different culture and, stuff like that.
And how about communication? I mean, I take it they spoke English.
They did. Not as well as we thought they would. I know there were a few students who took, hosts that took Spanish and not French, and so I could pick up on some of the things that she was trying to translate but couldn't quite translate. And so could my father, because he knows a bit of French, but some things are really hard to translate, just with accents on certain words, and but otherwise it was pretty okay. It
And
was
did they go to
like-
school with you?
Yep.
Is that how it worked?
Yep, for a few days, and then other days they went on field trips or different types of things. They went to Whitebrook to talk to some of the English classes, and yeah.
And I saw them at one of our soccer games,
Yes.
girls' soccer
Yes,
game.
we went.
So.
We went to a lot of different sports activities. This group did like sports a lot, and they do sports a lot back in France, but not school sports because that's not how they do things. Yeah, we played volleyball with the team at the high school. I know that Mallory stood in on one of my rehearsals for drama club, and yeah, they basically just followed us around to see what we did.
Seems like they really made themselves a member of the community in a
Absolutely.
relatively short period of time. I mean, I saw them interacting with our students quite a bit.
Oh yeah, definitely at the soccer game too.
Yeah.
Very much.
So there were approximately 18 students, do you know?
It was 12 and then 2 adults.
Right. And do you know if the group that is going to travel is similarly
I think it's
At what?
less.
fewer than that?
Yeah.
At this time, it's
Yes.
less. They're still hoping for
More
more
to
people to
join,
join
yeah.
them.
There's
Thank
a
you.
lot of trips going on in spring, so it's divided a little bit.
Hard to choose.
Yes. Definitely.
Thank you very much. Peter, do we have any gifts?
We do. We have a number of gifts, and I move that we vote to accept with gratitude and appreciation the following gifts. An anonymous donation of $100 for financial aid for students traveling abroad in the program that Alex was just talking about. The Easthampton Learning Foundation for the generous gifts provided to our schools. We're going to learn more about that. Think in Paris Insurance Agency for $50 to the Easthampton High School connecting activities. True Heart Queen Bee Car Wash for $50 to the same A to Z Storage and Properties, $100 to Easthampton High School connecting activities. Easthampton Savings Bank, $50 to Easthampton High School connecting activities. I note here that Easthampton Savings Bank is not the largest donor to this. Does anyone know anyone we could talk to about that? The Dalton La Valley Post, 224 for $100 to the Easthampton High School Student Renaissance. Florence Savings Bank for $100 to Easthampton High School World Language. The Kiwanis Club of Easthampton for $250 to Easthampton High School Student Renaissance. Easthampton Police Association also donated $250 to the High School Renaissance program. And Think in Paris donated in addition. So this is their second donation just this month. And this is to the Easthampton High School Student Renaissance and Florence Savings Bank. So Florence Savings Bank shows up twice here on the list, and they gave $250 to Student Renaissance. So I vote that I move that we vote to accept with gratitude and appreciation those gifts.
Second.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully there'll be more coming, even next month.
We move now to the public speak portion of our meeting. If anyone would like to come and address the committee, they can do so at this time. And it doesn't look as though we have anyone that would like to do that at this time, so we'll move on to a presentation by the Easthampton Learning Foundation representatives, Mr. Chuck McCullough and Mr. Thomas Brown.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak with you. I'm Chuck McCullough, from the Easthampton Learning Foundation. I'm the CFO at Williston, Northampton. Tom Brown from Easthampton Savings Bank, and Stan Palaskis. We now serve as the board of the Easthampton Learning Foundation. And the reason we're here tonight is just to follow up with the correspondence we presented to the school department, I believe a month ago or so, where we were able to send a letter to grant funding for a series of accepted grant proposals. The total dollar amount that was allocated was $23,811. The allocation consisted of a $15,000 check that we distributed to the school department, but also there were some remaining funds from previous grant proposals that had not been utilized, so we felt it was appropriate at that time to redistribute those to try to honor as many of the grant proposals as possible this year. So our grant committee worked very closely, very long and hard on some of the grant proposals that were submitted. Just to give someone an idea of the Easthampton Learning Foundation's efforts over the last 15 years, 14 years, we have granted, and we're going back and looking at our records, but it's about $150,000 in total grant proposals over the last number of years, which constituted, I believe it's about approximately 75 grants that have been reviewed, honored, and accepted, and then funded. Those funds have been provided to the school department over the years. So, it's been an effort, a long-time effort on the part of a number of businesses in town to try to build up an endowment so that as this endowment grows, we can hopefully honor more grant proposals moving forward.
Yeah, and I just wanted to touch on what's happening with the Easthampton Learning Foundation. A lot of you may remember the ELF ball that was held for many years. Well, we achieved a plateau where we decided enough was enough. We wanted to go out on a high note, and as you know, the last ball we held was one of our biggest and best ever, raised the most amount of money. And the foundation topped out at $800,000, where it stands today. And we've invested that very smartly, wisely with the community foundation, and they handle that asset very nicely for us. And as Chuck said, that comes through the generosity of many businesses in Easthampton. For the kickoff of that, there were some major significant pledges made, long-term pledges made of, to the tune of $25,000 and $50,000 to get that kicked off. And then the ball started happening, which supported that year after year. And as I said, it's around $800,000 today. So we've transitioned from a fundraising board to a grant allocation board. So we think $800,000 is a good number for us to rest on today. Doesn't mean we won't be back with some sort of fundraising events here and there in the future. But thanks to the efforts of our grant allocation committee, as Chuck said, we're able to wisely allocate those or support those appropriate grant requests every year. We have 2 representatives from Williston that serve on that, a representative from the Community Foundation. I think there's 1 or 2 representatives from the former ELF board, and the superintendent sits on that committee also. So that's a great asset for us to have her there to basically shepherd those through and make sure that those grants are going to the highest and best use. So ELF is alive and well, and we're glad to be able to carry on its mission.
And you're still accepting
Any particular
donations?
questions about ELF? Go ahead.
No, and you're still accepting donations.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
as you're preparing your
They would go-
will, you might want to think about the Easthampton Learning Foundation.
Send a check to Easthampton Learning Foundation. I think it's still P.O. Box something.
It is, yeah. And the website, please go to the website. It has been updated and maintained and has some current information on it. But certainly at this point, if there are any particular questions about the direction we're taking and anything particular about how we're working to grow those funds, welcome to field questions at this point.
I was trying to get that information for you.
Everybody looks at Peter for questions.
No.
Some things
I'm trying
never
to get
change, and I've been on the school committee for a long
address for
time.
you. Post Office Box 1100. Does that sound
Thank you.
right?
Yep.
Easthampton, Mass. And yeah, it's great. It outlines. I mean, the website's cool. It's got all of the information that we just heard and more. Donations, past grants, and the recipients. So.
And representing the school department, I just want to say a tremendous thank you to you and the work you've done for us and our schools. Provides so many enrichment opportunities that our students wouldn't have otherwise. We've had garden projects and the jazz band and art projects and just wonderful, wonderful opportunities. So we are so very grateful for your work and the fact that you continue to support those projects. And I have enjoyed being part of the selection committee that reviews the different proposals. And that's a very energetic, committee, and they're really certainly looking at proposals that will benefit the greatest number of students in our schools. So just been a great program from every step of the way. So
Right.
thank you.
Well,
thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Take care.
Before we move on, Deb, would it be possible to get a brief explanation of the 3 recipients? Not everyone in the city is aware of the opportunity to support these groups, but we have 2, one for world language and one for travel abroad. When the Florence Savings Bank gift for the Easthampton High School world language, and then there's others for student renaissance and others for connecting activities. Could you just help folks who may be seeing this understand what each of those programs are and how that funding helps support them?
I think Nancy could help us with that.
Yes, I'd be happy to help you. Let's get back to where that is. The connecting activities, I know you talked about that the last time. The dog show, the Yappy Valley Dog Show, that's where that money's collected. And Gail Cannon oversees those funds. They're used for the Pathways programs that help our students connect to community businesses and have some experience with internships. Also for field trips and some other student activities. The Renaissance program is a program at the high school. It's been there for a long time, and it provides rewards to students based on their attendance or on their grades. Tries to recognize our students who excel in attendance and in grades. And the World Language Program, that would be the one that you heard about from Tony Mango, that provides opportunities for students to travel abroad and experience a taste of some different countries. And let's see, were there others there?
Madam Nancy.
That was it.
So those, I just think it's important for people to understand that you can make a gift to the public school system as a whole, but you can also make targeted gifts if there's something that you think is important. Preparing, giving these students a pathway towards career readiness is one avenue. The student renaissance recognition of outstanding student performance, and the study of languages, 3 opportunities for specifically targeted gifts among others.
Mm-hmm. And I might also mention, in terms of the Easthampton Learning Foundation, that there are a number of people in the community, some of them on the grant selection committee with me, who are expressing great interest in trying to do some other kind of fundraising events to continue to add to the endowment, to the funding that's there, to the $800,000. Some very interesting ideas. So I'm sure that there'll be some more fundraising events coming in the future, and that would be wonderful to keep increasing that foundation budget.
Yeah, it does say on the website that to watch for details regarding possibly a community charity ball to be held in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So that's on the ELF website.
Yeah,
Nice.
exciting things.
Yes. Thank you all very much. Okay, moving on. I don't believe we have a finance subcommittee report, correct? Okay. Policy subcommittee did meet today.
Well, I think that topic will be coming up shortly, right?
We just
But
have to
there is, right, a
discuss the policy JKAA.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So in your packet, there is a physical restraint of students, policy JKAA. This is a policy that needs to be in place by January 1st. So this is why it is in your policy now, so we can, or in your packet now, so we can have the first reading. And it's a MASC policy. So I would like to make a motion to approve the first reading of policy JKAA, physical restraint of students.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our Collaborative for Educational Services representative is not here yet this evening, so we will skip the update on that organization at this time, and we'll move on to the student activities update from Alexis White.
Yep. I know that the National Honor Society is having a blood drive. It is not open to the public, but this is our second time doing it. Last year it went really well, and we're just doing it again because it's a great thing to do, you know. Drama Club, the production of Grease, we are in the middle of doing that. Student Council is soon going to have what we call a Dollar Wars. It helps sponsor families during Christmas time. We raise money in each homeroom, and then we use that money to buy presents for the parents and the children. And it's really great. And that's about it.
Can you remind us when your drama play is going to be?
Okay, it's the end of January. I'm not sure about the dates right now because, yeah.
I know.
But it's going to be really great.
Sure.
And Alexis, the blood drive, is that just for Easthampton High School staff and
Yes.
students, teachers? I see.
It was very confusing last year, I believe, when we had it kind of open to the public. So they just wanted to make it more concise this year and just do high school students and staff. Yeah.
And that's coming up, was it the 20, I think it's just before Thanksgiving, which is a great time to get a high yield because people are often thinking of how they can be especially generous.
Definitely.
The other thing, just mentioning, in addition to your comment about the play, which is very exciting, coming up, I know there's a group of parents, and they identify themselves as the Parent Council, that supports the drama productions. Laura, you are a long-term member of that organization?
Yeah, and I am still on it.
Oh, you're still on it. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And go ahead.
Well, I was just going to mention, I know that the Parent Council is looking for new members and looking for parents to join, whether they have a student involved in the drama production or not. They'd like to have new members. And I know that they're talking about planning a sock hop
Sock hop on January.
to kind of kick off the theme of Greece and get everyone motivated and inspired and raise some funds for the drama production.
Yeah.
So I know they're looking for volunteers and help with that. So
What's a sock hop?
Right, you want to
It's
tell
a 50 styles dance.
Or you just wear your socks.
yes. And I think they're planning to have it at Pepin in the gym to really have an authentic feel to
And
it
that'll
all.
evoke the 50s.
Yes. And so maybe if anyone is interested in getting involved, they could contact you, Lori. Could they contact you if anyone wanted to get involved in that effort?
Yeah.
Because I know
And
that,
Bonnie Katusik also.
Yes.
right. And I
Yes,
was
Bonnie's
thinking,
our president.
yeah, I was thinking I don't have her contact information or a number for her.
I
but-
did put that in one of my updates,
Right.
superintendent updates.
So look for your email
Look for it there
message
too.
to find
or
the
on
contact.
Facebook. Or,
Right.
Those updates, by the way, Nancy, are incredible. They're going over really well.
Well, I am enjoying doing it. It's fun to find out to collect everything that's going on in the district.
It's
And
amazing because it
yeah.
shows how much is going on.
Yes, a lot is going on. And I've gotten interesting feedback from families in the community too, which is very helpful with questions. And that way I can add that to another update. So I would encourage any parents, any family members, any community members who read the updates and have a question or something they'd like me to address to just send me an email.
Great. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is the topic of a transportation policy exception request. And we received, those of you on the policy subcommittee are already aware of this, but for those of you who are not, for background information, we received a request from a parent for an exception to be made to our transportation policy so that their daughter could ride the school bus. Something we've seen before. Anyway, what I suggested is that the policy subcommittee review the request and provide a recommendation for the larger committee on this matter. But before they do so, I thought I should share the letter that I received from the parents so that you would all be well informed. And then I'll ask the policy subcommittee to share their thoughts on this matter. Dear Deborah, I was told to contact you through the superintendent of Easthampton Public Schools about obtaining transportation for our daughter. We need an exception to the transportation policy. We were denied since home is 1.15 miles from the school. Since our daughter stayed back, it has been very difficult to get her to and from school since both my husband and I have started new jobs. We do not feel it's safe for her to walk that distance, one, being a female, and two, that it's way too far for a 10-year-old to walk unsupervised. I have also been told that the buses are not full and I'm willing to pay for her to have transportation. This would help our family since our son takes the bus to Whitebrook and we also have a toddler who gets dropped off at daycare. Please help me and my family get our daughter to school safely. It's from the English family. So, the policy subcommittee, I know you met earlier this evening.
We did. And we discussed this, and we definitely feel for the family. But we have come to the conclusion that based upon our current policy that we can't approve this exception. But what we would like to do, because we know the policy subcommittee is interested in it, and we think that the whole committee might be interested in it, is to have a work session very soon to discuss this transportation policy, to find a way that perhaps we could allow more families have the opportunity to have the bus. So I would like to suggest that maybe at our December meeting, we have a work session either before or after the meeting. But our discussion was that to not approve this waiver.
Okay. Any other comments, Mayor Cadger?
Oh, thank you. And you know what might be helpful too is if you could provide the information on when people, exactly what she's talking about, when the buses aren't full. I thought there was a really good explanation about that in one of our emails, if you wouldn't mind expounding on that.
Yes, and maybe I could
Would you
turn
like
it over
me
to
to?
the superintendent, because you did explain that very well for that fill the bus. and-
Extremely well, because people do see that and they get, like a mixed message.
And
So,
if I could, Superintendent Follinsby, I just want to preface it with priming the audience to listen for the challenge that we face between being efficient, which everybody understands. They see a bus go by with an empty seat and they think, wouldn't it make sense to use that? Which is a perfectly logical thing to say from an efficiency perspective. The challenge that we face under law is on the equity side. That often prevents us from doing something that might be efficient, because we would then be violating the equitable treatment of all the families in the school system. So I just want to highlight that piece. I agree that you'll explain it well.
It is complicated, and I think Fill the Bus, the name, and that was mentioned earlier this evening too, maybe is a little bit deceiving. So what it means is that if there are spaces on all the buses, let's say the regulations are that we'll pick up all families that live within 1.5 miles of the school. And if there's a space on all the buses, when we've done that, and we've done it in a way that the buses can get to school on time, and there's still some seats left on every single bus that goes to that school, then the transportation secretary will start to lower the mileage by 1/10 of a mile for all families. So all families now that are 1.4 miles away from the school will get transportation, and that she will continue to do that until one bus is completely filled. As soon as one bus is completely filled, then no more spaces are opened. And as Peter is mentioning, the equity part of this is that, if I live in a neighborhood where there are lots of spaces on the buses that come to my neighborhood, and I can get on, and I'm 1.4 miles from the school, but my colleague lives across town in another neighborhood, and that bus is completely filled. They live the exact same distance from the school, but are not able to get transportation when I'm able to get transportation. So I think when the policy was developed, the school committee members at that time wanted the policy to be applied equitably to all families in the district. And that's what the Fill the Bus component of that policy means. Now, the other thing is that oftentimes families will say to me, well, I see lots of empty seats on the bus. Now, that could be happening for a variety of reasons. We also have to take into consideration that the bus has to be able to go out to the farthest point in a route and get back to school in time to start school. So it may be that they can't pick up everyone along the way to do that, and that's why, again, it's not lowered in mileage. Also, sometimes buses don't appear to be filled, especially in the afternoon, because lots of students have activities and are staying after school, so it looks like there are lots of spaces. Sometimes if we have a epidemic in our school of flu or something like that, we also have lots of spaces on the bus. Appears that we have more spaces than we might have. In addition, we do have to maintain a few spaces on each bus, a few seats on each bus, so that if a family were to move in to the area that is eligible for busing, we can accommodate their students. So that kind of helps you, I hope, understand why there's seats available. It appears that there are more seats available than there actually are available.
I think that's extremely clear.
That-
And the whole key to that is exactly what you started off saying. Every bus that goes to that school. That's the key. And then obviously what the committee had decided before is regarding the equity of it. But that is something that the committee could look at in the future if they so desired, as to, not having it have to be every bus. But that explains it perfectly. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I do think it's time for the committee to have a thorough look at the entire policy, because we do have a number of questions about it, and maybe there are some ideas that haven't occurred to didn't occur to the committee that developed the policy that might be effective and efficient. So I believe that, as Lori said, you are making plans to revise or to review the policy again.
Yes. Yep. So we'll set up a date.
Thank you very much. So we hope the English family will understand our situation and position on this matter and our desire to be fair and equitable at all times. Thank you. Okay, we'll be moving on to the superintendent's report.
Wonderful. Well, I have a great pleasure here this evening, and Principal Burke is here in the audience. I'm going to ask him to come to the podium, and I'm going to ask Alexius to come to the podium with us, too. So every year, the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents gives each superintendent in every district in Massachusetts an award to pass out to a senior student. And we are asked to make that decision based on GPA, so the student should be in the top 5% of his or her class. And other things are considered as well, so participation in activities, in service projects, in athletics, in music, and in general in their school community. So in consultation with Principal Burke, I called him and I asked him to tell me about the students who were in that category of the top 5% and might fulfill these other criteria of the award. And he and I had a nice chat. And together we decided that Alexis White, our school committee representative, should receive this award. So Alexis, congratulations. Very proud of you. And certainly thank you for your work. And now I'm also going to have Principal Burke stay up here to talk about who the John and Abigail Adams recipients are this year for scholarship. Now, this is a scholarship that's given out by the state, and it's tuition reimbursement for state colleges and universities. And students who are in the proficient and advanced categories of the MCAS for both English language arts and math are eligible for this tuition reimbursement. And we're really excited to tell you about all the students in our high school who are receiving this award. And again, before I sit down, I just want to reiterate how really important this superintendent's award is, and how very few people across the state, how very few students receive this award, and we're just so excited to be able to give it to Alexis, our school committee representative. And now, Principal Burke, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. So for the class of 2016, the recipients of the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship Awards are Liam Bernier, Kelly Beaujolais, Alexandra Chapman, Joseph Collins, Andrew Connolly, Nicholas Connor, Chloe Crabb, Ryan Fleury, Sarah Gallant, Chelsea Kimball Badgett, Jesse Clytus Flame, Colin LaFountain, Hunter LaFabe, Brian Lapario, Brando McCormick Willite, Brianna Miller, Anna Morrissey, Brenna Motter, Liam Nash, Nikayla Page, Raj Patel, Joshua Pearson, Derek Ratcliffe, Michael Sinkowitz, Leah Stabil, Alexis Stoss, Morgan Tabb, Stephanie Theron, Dakota Wheeler, and Alexis White. Congratulations.
Yeah, great.
Very proud of our students.
Yes, we are.
Thank you very much.
And their parents are psyched.
That too. Nice reward for all their hard work. All right, and next we have the Green Business Award winner certificate that's in your packet. So we received this from the Center for Ecotechnology, and they send this award out for businesses or schools who go through the process of implementing energy upgrades, and we did this through that green grant that we had. And they award, in our case, a school that had an impact, a significant impact as a result of the upgrades. And as you can see from the award, our heating system upgrades will save 72.5 tons of CO2 every year, the equivalent of saving enough electricity to power 10 homes every year. So we're very pleased to have been able to implement those upgrades, and that resulted in all of these energy savings. And it was nice to get this award from them.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
And now, I'm going to go over to the podium. I have a PowerPoint on our MCAS results. Our MCAS results are for the high school only because I think, as most of you know, we determined that we were going to take the PARC assessment this year for grades 3 through 8. And so all we had in preparation for this school committee meeting were the MCAS results. We did today receive permission to share publicly the results for the PARC assessment as well. But since it just came in late this afternoon, I wasn't able to pull together a presentation on it. I will say that our PARC assessments for grades K through 4 looked very good. In fact, in the state, and I'm trying to remember if it was in our schools as well, our students performed better on PARC in terms of, I believe it was the ELA, and I shouldn't have started telling you all this because I don't have it in front of me, than they did on the MCAS. So that was very good news. Our results for the middle school were not as positive, but again, this is the first time we've taken this assessment, and we will have lots of material that will come to us that will help us learn from the assessment as we await the school board's decision on what our assessment will be for this coming year. And there was one other thing I was going to tell you about that, but what I was going to say is that families should get their individual reports in December from the email that I received today. So let me just move over to the podium and see if I can get my presentation up again, and if not, I might have been on all evening and then just died. You have a copy of this in your packet as well, because I wasn't sure how clear this would be. And so I wanted you to have it in front of you as well. And this presentation was prepared by Polly Parker, our Director of Curriculum and Grants. And she was not able to be with us this evening, so she walked me through it, and I'm happy to share it with you tonight. So the results of our spring 2015 MCAS ELA scores show us that 88% of our students, this is at the high school, are proficient or higher, and 99% of all our students have passed the MCAS. We have one student who did not pass the ELA MCAS, and as it turns out, I learned from Principal Burke this afternoon that student was a student who had come to us from New Mexico, moved into our school, took the MCAS, and then left again. So the student's no longer with us, but that was the one student who did not pass. So all of the students who are currently in our high school have passed the ELA MCAS. The chart on the right shows us exactly where students scored within each of the 4 categories. Most of our students are scoring in the high proficiency, low advanced categories. And we are running an after-school program for any students who have not yet to pass any MCAS subject. So you know. In the spring 2015 MCAS mathematics exam, we have 77% of our students scoring in the proficient and advanced categories. Altogether, 96% of our students have passed MCAS math. The chart on the right illustrates the exact breakdown of each student's score within the categories. About 50% of our students score in the high proficient, low advanced categories. Again, only 5 students did not pass the initial MCAS test and are currently participating in extra help sessions to assist them in taking the retest exam. Students are offered several opportunities to retest, and most students pass the retest exams. Our science, technology, engineering, science scores for 2015 MCAS are a little more complicated to sort out. Because our students choose between physics and biology, looking at year-to-year progress can become confusing depending on how many students take each exam. For example, the chart here indicates how all students fared based on a combination of both the physics and the biology. The general trend indicates we have had an increase in the number of advanced students up until 2015. The chart also shows that the number of proficient students remained the same, but that the number of students needing improvement and warning is declining. However, when we break apart the 2 sets of data, we see something a little differently. Here we see the spring 2015 MCAS results for each physics and biology. The 20 students who took the physics test did very well, and almost 85% were proficient and advanced. 50% were advanced, 35% were proficient, and only 15% needs improvement with no warning failing. Of the 44 students who took biology, we clearly see a difference in scoring categories. 2% scored in the advanced, 45% in the proficient, and 45% in the needs improvement, and 7% in the warning failing. 90% students scored in the proficient needs improvement category. More students took the biology than the physics in the spring of 2015. However, when taking a look at the breakdown for the prior year, the spring 2014 MCAS, 35 students took the physics exam and only 25 students took the biology exam. For the 35 students who took the physics exam, note that 34% scored in the advanced, 49% in the proficient, and 17% in the needs improvement categories. 83% of the physics test takers were proficient or higher. Also note the difference in achievement on the biology exam from the current year, as well as the number of students who took the exam. This is what we call a class effect that we have coming through our schools, all of our schools, from time to time. In 2014, 25 students took biology, and of those students, 44% scored in the advanced, 44% in the proficient, and 8% in the needs improvement. 4% are represented by a student with disabilities that submitted an alternative portfolio. By looking at the overall four-year trend for ELA, we see, and actually I should go back to your science, because what I wanted to say is that, as you may have noted in the Gazette this year, they put the science scores on the front page, and our scores clearly were not as high as some of the other districts. And this was not what we feel was a good representation of how our students did on the science exams. And also, you know, the way that we use the MCAS results is to really look specifically at the tests that were taken, the students who took them, and what the issues were that were the challenges and the support. So lumping the biology and physics together for one science, reporting out is really not a useful way in our eyes of being able to share that MCAS data. So looking at the overall four-year trend for ELA, we definitely see a gradual increase in achievement over time. The number of advanced students is increasing, while the number of needs improvement warning students is lowering. Although the trend is a bit of an upset in 2015, again, our number of advanced students has increased overall. Taking a look at the four-year trend in the MCAS mathematics, we also see a gradual incline that has leveled off in 2015. Again, another class effect. The class of 2013 was a strong class, known as the class effect. And the problem with looking at year-to-year progress is when a good year is thrown into the mix, it can appear as though 2014 didn't improve when actually it did. The overall trend supports a gradual increase over time. 2015 is stagnant, but still support the gradual increase in achievement over time. And finally, these two charts give us a look at the growth model, the state's growth model. Remembering that anything that falls within the 40 to 60 degree band, dotted lines, is normal or expected. So we would want any of our scores to fall within that growth percentage. And X marks the overall state achievement and growth. So Easthampton High School is the green dot. We are higher in achievement than the state in both subjects, and slightly lower, but certainly within the error section of the chart for growth. So here are the highlights of our MCAS data. In English Language Arts, we have approximately the same percentage of students in the proficient or higher since 2013. The important difference is that more students have moved into the advanced category from the proficient category. This was our charge to the high school. We wanted more students in advanced, and we have been able to achieve that goal. In mathematics, we have remained consistent in our scoring pattern, except for 2013, when we had a very strong class skilled in mathematics. We are trailing the state in growth, although well within the bands of normal, 40 to 60, as evidenced in the chart with the dotted lines. Our science data is skewed due to the numbers of students who take biology and physics, so looking at yearly comparisons is difficult for this reason. And that's the end of the slideshow. So if you have questions, I also have Principal Burke here, and actually I invite you up to the podium, and we'll see if there are any questions.
Could you describe the class effect and how it applies to the mathematics score in 2013, the biology score in 2014, and the physics in 2015? Is that the same cohort of students moving through those three tests?
They're all different classes.
So then I'm confused about the class effect. Could you explain it so that I could
So
understand?
the class effects looks at, in the high school, the only time you take the MCAS is in the 10th grade. Besides that, in middle school, you're taking it every single year. So if you look at say 2013 and you look at their performance in MCAS throughout their middle school years, and you see their performance was still fairly high, and it was also obviously high when they got to the high school. Where if you look at 2015 and you compare their MCAS results, that class struggled a little bit more, whereas when they took the test last year, you could see that even though if you compare them to 8th grade tests, there's actually a lot of improvement. And that's where the class effect comes in. So it's the cohort or the class, the students who take it during 10th grade and their performance through middle school.
Because we're looking at
is what we're
one
looking
class at 10th grade at different years, and it appears that not as much progress is occurring as is actually occurring if you look at them over time from their middle school years up through their high school years.
So just, if I could, to follow up on that then, since I'm trying to clarify my understanding about the physics and biology results from 2014 to 2015, what's the explanation for the change in the course enrollment? If it's not one group of students moving through, in 1 year, there's, I'm going to do the math quickly in my head and say, 7 out of every 12 kids is taking physics, and then in the next year, 1 out of every 3 is taking physics. Why did it swing so much? Do we know?
Doing the physics, I believe we've only been doing that for 2 years now, I think.
It's 2.
Yeah, so taking the MCAS physics was something new. We actually, I think the physics teacher is on his 4th year right now as far as being hired into the school. So, it's partly building the program and the enrollment in the classes.
And I think, too, it depends on, again, the class effect. So if you have a class with a number of students who are interested in physics and feel that that's the science test they want to take, you're going to see a larger group of them. And you can see that in 2014, there are 35 students who took physics. But in 2015, only 20 students took physics. So there were a discrepancy in the number of students who felt able to take that exam, wanted to take that exam, and so again, class effect.
And it's a little bit unusual to have already taken a physics class by your sophomore year in high school. Would you agree? That's usually it's an upper level course.
It is. It's
which
definitely
would
a tougher class.
be why there's fewer numbers of students taking the class. Would you agree? Because not too many as sophomores with the required science along the way would
Correct.
be able to fit physics into their schedule at that young age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's somewhat of a self-selection process, too.
Yeah, I guess my question is, I'm just curious about what the self-selection is. I don't teach in the sciences, but I've certainly have listened to conversations about science teachers about the different nature of the science of studying physics and studying biology and some of the factors that go into it. I guess it'll be interesting, and I know we keep asking for this longer-term information. If there's data, even if it's just about enrollment, going back to 2013 and 2012, or as it's going forward, like currently, right now, how many students, what's the split? It seems like the number of students overall is roughly the same, right? There were 60 students taking the 2 classes. There's 64 students taking the 2. For 2016, even if we don't know the results on MCAS, is the distribution more similar to 2014 or 2015 in terms of the split?
You're
between
asking
the two?
about class enrollment?
Yes. Right? Wouldn't class enrollment be the predictor of them taking the test?
Correct.
Yes. So what's the class enrollment look like for this year?
Do not have those numbers off the top of my head. Sorry. I
No,
can
that's
get
okay.
them- I can
it
get
would
them
be-
for
it-
you, but
Just in terms of understanding, because if it's self-selecting, and we've talked about this before, there's different pathways. And it would be interesting for us to know and perhaps to communicate to the community at large about the relatively large number of students who are taking advantage of physics earlier on, because that certainly it could be revealing and testimony to the strength of the physics offering that we have, that many students are taking it as a sophomore. But it seems like if we're going to keep track of the performance on the test data, then figuring out who's selecting to take which test would make sense to know and to explore that.
And I do think that it is a result of our strong physics program, which has gotten stronger every year. We're very pleased to have a very good physics teacher, and they are rare commodities, as it turns out, because I am always getting emails from other districts asking if we know of any physics teachers. So we feel very fortunate to have the physics teacher we have who's excellent, Abe Phelps.
Great.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Moving on to our minutes from the October 13th regular session meeting.
A motion to approve the minutes for the Easthampton School Committee meeting of October 13th, 2015.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion passes. Warrants and payroll.
Get this out of your way. Sorry. So we have, oh gosh. Yes. Motion to approve. Yeah, hang on one second. Yeah, I think we have to vote all of these. I think we have to vote everyone that's got signatures on it. Correct? Sorry, my hearing's really bad.
Forms, she says.
Just the pink forms? Oh, okay. That's even easier. I haven't been secretary for a while. I apologize. I move to approve the school payroll dated October 29th in the amount of $456,862.66. Oh, look, they even type it out.
Second.
I can. $456,862.66.
And second.
Okay, do I repeat that?
Sure.
I do?
You don't have to.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor, and it's been seconded to approve the school payroll dated October 29th, 2015, in the amount of $456,862.66. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. Thank you.
Motion to approve the accounts payable authorization for payment dated October 29th, 2015, in the amount of $157,199.79.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the accounts payable authorization for payment dated October 29th, 2015, in the amount of $157,199.79. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
And then, hang on. But just by way of note, we did have members of the finance subcommittee and other members of the school committee read those warrants and sign them by the date. People might be confused about the fact that we're voting on something dated October 29th on November 12th, the 12th, 11th, 10th. I'm jumping ahead. Sorry. This one fits. I move to approve the school payroll dated 12 November 2015 in the amount of $454,479.74.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor, and it's been seconded to approve the school payroll dated November 12th, 2015, in the amount of $454,479.74. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain?
Motion to approve the accounts payable authorization for payment dated 12 November 2015 in the amount of $369,653.07.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor, and it's been seconded to approve the accounts payable authorization for payment dated November 12th, 2015, in the amount of $369,653.07. All those in favor? Motion passes.
And then we also have a motion, I think that's that for the pink sheet. Okay.
Budget transfer.
We have a
request.
motion for a budget transfer in the amount of $12,000 to cover the cost of mainstream services provided by the Clark School.
Is there a second?
I apologize. There's two motions. We could take them singularly, right?
No, I think
I
one,
think it's just one.
is a correction to the first
Top
one.
one, just the
Oh, the
top
top one is the correction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's good news for the city.
Yes, it is.
the corrected amount is $4,000 less. We can use that for other good things.
And there's that too.
There's a motion.
So
Is there a second? Okay. Motion to approve a budget transfer request to cover of $12,000 to cover the cost of mainstream services provided by the Clark School. All those in favor? Motion passes.
So do we take a motion to adjourn when we go into a work session? I always confuse this. I think we adjourn.
We do not.
We do not.
Okay.
So then it's just a motion to move into a work session, which we will do here in the room behind us. Perfect.
Does someone want to make that motion, or do we vote on that, Sue? Okay, do we have a motion and do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of moving to the room for a work session? Thank you very much.